My beloved child. Before you scroll away, before you let your mind drift for even a second, understand this. This message is not random, it is not coincidence, and it is not something you found by accident. You were guided here because something, or someone, has been watching you more closely than you realize, and deep down you have already felt it, that strange sensation when you are alone yet it feels like you are not, that moment when you turn your head quickly because your intuition whispers that eyes are on you, that unexplainable awareness that something is silently observing your every move. And no, this is not meant to scare you, this is meant to awaken you, because there is a watchful eye around you that has been noticing everything, every choice you make, every word you speak, every secret you try to hide even from yourself, and the reason you are hearing this right now is because you are being prepared for something much bigger than you can currently understand, something that requires you to become more aware, more alert, and more spiritually awakened than ever before, because the truth is, not all observation is harmful, and not all watchers come with bad intentions, but ignoring their presence can cost you more than you think, because while you are busy living your routine life, someone is quietly studying your patterns, your weaknesses, your strengths, your reactions, and even your silence. Yes, even your silence speaks louder than you think, and they are paying attention to that too. Every pause, every hesitation, every moment you hold back, it is all being recorded in ways you cannot see, and the energy around you has been shifting because of it. Have you noticed how things feel different lately? How certain people act strangely around you? How some conversations feel forced while others feel unusually intense? That is not your imagination. That is your intuition trying to warn you that the environment around you is changing, and you are at the center of it. And here is where it gets even more important, because the eye that is watching you is not just observing randomly, it is waiting, waiting for a moment, waiting for a sign, waiting for you to reveal something that you may not even realize you are revealing, and this is why you must stay alert, because not everything that feels normal is safe, and not everything that feels safe is truly normal. Sometimes the most dangerous situations come wrapped in comfort, disguised as familiarity, and hidden behind people you trust, and this is why you must open your eyes now, not later, not tomorrow, but right now, because the longer you stay unaware, the more power this silent observer gains over your life, and the more difficult it becomes to protect your energy, your decisions, and your future, because yes, your future is involved in this more than you think, and the choices you make from this moment forward will determine whether you stay ahead of this watchful presence or fall into its silent trap. And listen carefully, because this is where most people fail, they ignore the signs, they brush off their instincts, they convince themselves that everything is fine, and by the time they realize the truth, it is already too late. But you are different, you were chosen to hear this before that point, you were given this awareness as a shield, as a warning, and as an opportunity to rise above what is happening around you, and if you are feeling a strange sense of urgency right now, if your heart is beating a little faster, if your mind is trying to connect the dots, that is not coincidence, that is confirmation that this message is reaching exactly where it needs to, deep inside you, where truth cannot be ignored, and now you have a choice. You can either continue living as if nothing is happening, or you can step into a higher level of awareness where you start observing back. Yes. Because the moment you realize you are being watched is the moment you gain the power to watch back, to understand, to decode, and to protect yourself in ways you never have before. And this is not about fear, this is about control, your awareness, your ability to see beyond the surface and recognize what others fail to notice, because the greatest protection you have is not strength, it is awareness, and right now, your awareness is being activated for a reason, so do not ignore it, do not silence it, and do not doubt it, because what you feel is real. What you sense is valid, and what is happening around you is more important than it appears, and the longer you stay connected to this truth, the clearer everything will become. But if you disconnect now, if you treat this as just another message, you risk missing something that could change everything, and I need you to understand this deeply, because what comes next will test how ready you truly are to face what has been hidden in plain sight all along. My beloved child, do not relax yet, do not let your guard down now, because what you are about to understand goes deeper than anything you have realized so far. That watchful eye around you, the one you felt but could not explain, it has not just been observing your actions, it has been studying your reactions, and there is a big difference between the two, because actions can be controlled, actions can be planned, but reactions reveal the truth you try to hide, and that is exactly what this presence has been waiting for, those unguarded moments when your true self slips out without warning, when your emotions take over before your mind can filter them, when your face, your tone, your silence speaks louder than your words, and every single one of those moments has been noticed, analyzed, and remembered, and now you might be wondering why. Why would someone watch you this closely? Why would someone invest this much attention into your life? And here is the truth most people are not ready to hear, because it is uncomfortable, because it challenges everything you believe about your surroundings. Not everyone around you is what they seem, not every smile is genuine, not every supportive word comes from a place of loyalty, and sometimes the person who appears the closest is the one observing you the most carefully, not to protect you, but to understand you, to predict you, and in some cases, to use that understanding when the time is right. And I need you to stay with me here, because this is where your awareness becomes your greatest weapon, because once you realize that someone is not just casually present in your life but intentionally attentive, you begin to see patterns, small details that once felt meaningless suddenly start making sense, the way certain questions are asked, the way certain topics are brought up again and again, the way your boundaries are quietly tested, the way information is pulled out of you without you even noticing. It is subtle, it is quiet, but it is powerful, and if you are not alert, you will continue to give away pieces of yourself without realizing who is collecting them and why. And listen carefully, because this is critical. The observer is patient, extremely patient. They are not rushing, they are not making obvious moves, because they understand something that most people do not. They understand that time reveals everything, and while you think moments are passing, they see those moments as opportunities to learn more about you, to map out your behavior, to understand what triggers you, what excites you, what weakens you, and what controls you. And once someone understands those things about you, they hold a kind of silent power, a power that does not need to be shown to exist, because it operates in the background, influencing situations in ways you may never notice until it is too late. And that is exactly why this message has reached you now, not when everything has already unfolded, but right in the middle of it, when you still have the ability to change the outcome, when you still have the chance to protect what is yours, your energy, your privacy, your direction, and your future. And I can feel that part of you is starting to connect these dots, part of you is thinking about certain people, certain situations, certain moments that suddenly feel different now, and that feeling. That realization. That slight discomfort in your chest, that is not fear, that is clarity. Beginning to rise, because once truth starts revealing itself, it cannot be hidden again, and this is where you must make a shift, a powerful shift, from being observed to becoming aware, from being predictable to becoming unpredictable, from being open without caution to being selective with intention, because you do not need to confront anyone, you do not need to create conflict. The strongest move you can make right now is silent awareness, observing without revealing that you are observing. Protecting without announcing that you are protecting, because the moment the observer realizes that you are no longer unaware, the dynamic changes completely, the power balance shifts, and suddenly, they are no longer the only one watching, and that is when things begin to reveal themselves even more, because people who rely on quiet observation often become uncomfortable when they are the ones being observed. And their behavior changes, their patterns shift, their intentions become harder to hide, and that is exactly what you need, not confrontation, but clarity, not reaction, but control. And I want you to understand something deeply before you move forward. This is not about living in fear of everyone around you, this is about elevating your awareness to a level where nothing catches you off guard anymore, where your intuition becomes your guide and your silence becomes your shield. Because there is strength in knowing more than you show, there is power in seeing more than you say, and right now, you are being given that power, but only if you choose to accept it, only if you choose to stay alert, because the moment you slip back into unconscious living, the moment you stop paying attention, the observer regains their advantage, and everything you have started to realize begins to fade again, and you cannot afford that now, not when you are this close to understanding what is truly happening around you. Not when the truth is already beginning to surface, and as you continue forward, there will be moments, very subtle moments, where you will notice things that once went completely unnoticed, small shifts in tone, unusual timing, repeated patterns that no longer feel random, and those moments are not coincidences, they are confirmations, confirmations that your awareness is growing, that your perception is sharpening, and that you are stepping into a level of understanding that most people never reach, and once you reach that level, everything changes. The way you see people, the way you respond to situations, the way you protect your peace, and most importantly, the way you control your own path without outside influence, and that is where your true power lies. Not in reacting to what is happening, but in understanding it before it fully unfolds, and I need you to stay ready, because what comes next will test whether you are truly observing now, or still being observed without realizing it. My beloved child, now listen more carefully than ever before, because what you are about to realize is where everything shifts, where illusion breaks and truth stands directly in front of you whether you are ready or not. The watchful eye around you is no longer just studying you quietly, it has already learned enough, and when observation reaches its peak, it always moves into the next phase. Influence, yes, influence so subtle that you may mistake it for your own thoughts, your own decisions, your own feelings, and that is what makes it dangerous, because the moment you believe something is coming from within you, you stop questioning it, you stop guarding against it, and that is exactly how control begins without force, without confrontation, without you even realizing it, and think deeply for a moment. Have there been times recently when you felt pushed towards certain decisions without clear reason, when your emotions shifted suddenly without any strong trigger, when you doubted something you were once completely sure about, those are not random fluctuations, those are signals, signals that something external may be trying to gently guide your internal state, and if you ignore this, if you brush this off as coincidence, you risk slowly losing control over your own direction, step by step, decision by decision, until one day you look back and realize that you have been walking a path that was never truly yours, and that realization, that moment of clarity, is something most people reach too late, but not you, not now, because you are hearing this before that point, and this is where your power must rise, not in fear, but in awareness so sharp that nothing can pass through it unnoticed, because the only way to break subtle influence is to question everything, not with paranoia, but with clarity, asking yourself why you feel what you feel, why you think what you think, why certain ideas suddenly appear in your mind, because once you begin to question, you create distance between yourself and any influence that is not truly yours, and that distance is your protection, and listen closely, because this is where the game changes completely. The observer never expects the observed to become self-aware, they rely on your distraction, your routine, your emotional reactions, but the moment you step out of that pattern, the moment you become conscious of your thoughts and actions, their entire strategy weakens, and this is where you will begin to notice something very interesting. The pressure may increase, situations may feel more intense. Certain people may act differently toward you, almost as if they are trying harder without showing it directly, and that is not your imagination, that is resistance, because when control starts slipping, it always tries to re-establish itself, and this is the phase where many people fail, because they become overwhelmed, they become confused, they react emotionally instead of staying aware, and in that reaction, they give away even more control than before, but you must not fall into that trap, not now. Not when you have come this far, because this is the moment where you must become still inside, even if everything around you feels like it is shifting, even if people behave unpredictably, even if situations test your patience, your strength is in your stillness, your clarity, your ability to observe without immediately reacting, because the less you react, the less information you give away, and the less information you give away, the less power the observer has over you, and this is where your silence becomes your strategy, not a weakness, not avoidance, but controlled silence, intentional silence, the kind of silence that watches, understands, and waits without revealing its awareness, because once you master this, you are no longer easy to read, you are no longer predictable. You are no longer someone who can be quietly influenced without resistance, and that is when everything begins to turn in your favor, because the observer, no matter how patient, no matter how calculated, depends on your openness, your patterns, your predictability, and the moment those things disappear, they are forced into uncertainty, and uncertainty is something they are not comfortable with, because it takes away their advantage, and as this shift happens, you will start to see more clearly than ever before. Truths that were hidden will begin to surface, intentions that were disguised will become visible, and connections that once seemed normal will suddenly feel different, and I need you to trust yourself in those moments, trust what you feel, trust what you notice, because your awareness is no longer at the level it once was, it has evolved, it has sharpened, and it is now capable of seeing what others cannot, but with this awareness comes responsibility, because now you must choose carefully how you move forward. You must protect your energy, your decisions, your future with Intention, not fear, because fear clouds judgment, but awareness sharpens it, and right now, you are stepping into a level where you can no longer afford to ignore what you sense, because ignoring it now would mean willingly stepping back into a position of vulnerability, and you are no longer that person, you are no longer unaware, you are no longer asleep to what is happening around you, you are awake, and once you are awake, there is no going back, only forward, deeper into understanding. Deeper into clarity, deeper into control over your own path, and as you continue, there is one final thing you must prepare for, because every observation, every influence, every hidden intention eventually leads to a moment. A moment where everything reveals itself, where the watcher can no longer remain completely hidden, where truth steps into the light whether it wants to or not, and that moment is closer than you think, much closer than you feel right now, and when it arrives, it will test everything you have understood so far, it will test your awareness, your control, your ability to stay grounded in truth instead of reacting blindly. And I need you to be ready for that, because what happens in that moment will determine whether you fully take back control or unknowingly give it away again, and the difference between those two outcomes depends on what you do next.